talk a little bit about today, that whole process about client onboarding. So I see often that we actually spend time on onboarding new staff. Sometimes we onboard new tenants or new renters. Very rarely do we actually have an onboarding process with regards to onboarding new clients. So I'm going to go through that today. And what I'd like to do is, if we can, later on when I've got an opportunity, go into the chat and I'll ask you some questions. The more information you pop into the chat, because I'm going to ask you, we're going to build this board today, build this little checklist today, and then at the end, if you want, just give me shoot me through an email, and I'll build the list for you. So I've been building this 100-day checklist for a while. I've done this session 2 other times with different groups, and we're collating all the different answers. If we can then all start to work on this as a 100-day checklist, we'll all be a little bit more further along. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to kick straight into this. For those that have never met me before, thank you very much. I just wanted to give you a background of why I think that I'm actually in a position where I can even develop or present this today. And the first thing is that although I'm consulting now, I actually have my own real estate agency. So I am in the trenches each day, not so much in lockdown, but each day I'm actually in a different office and working with the team. So I get to see lots of really good things. I get to see some ordinary things as well. And what we try to do is we try and blend those. And so I am actually in the field. I'm not just a teacher. I'm not sitting on the sidelines, not being in the industry. And these are the areas that I really focus on. So at the moment, we're really talking about the training and the onboarding or the development of the systems. So today I want to talk really about creating this remarkable journey. And the premise behind this, and there's a book called Purple Cow. So if you haven't read Purple Cow, by all means, jump on board. It's Seth Godin, I think it is. I'll bring that up a little bit later. And have a look at Purple Cow. But he talks a little bit about the being remarkable. And I want to ask you this question, and that is the thing that I want you to sort of look back and put yourself in a position of being a landlord of yours. I'm just bringing a few more people in, of being a landlord. Is your onboarding process remarkable, or is it just a little bit ho-hum? And in many instances, what I see is it's a little bit ho-hum. So today, what I want to talk about is a couple of these little bullet points. So today, this is what I want to have a look at. Creating a level of service that exceeds your expectations of your clients. Something that's going to initiate referrals. Now, referrals, really, you should be able to get referrals from day dot. And day dot for me is the listing presentation. If you can't get referrals from the listing presentation, in many instances, we feel a little bit intimidated even asking. Becoming a market leader. And this is where I suggest that you don't stress about what everyone else is doing. If you're in an area where you've got agencies next door, around the corner, up the road, in your little pocket, if you've got agencies there, don't worry about them. Just leave them and set your own. You become the benchmark. You become the area where others were going to try and follow you. So don't stress about your competitors. Develop a client referral program. We're going to talk about that as well. What do you do currently now for your clients that refer other people? So I've got a gold package in here, which I'm going to talk to you about. And this little point here, I've been talking about this for years. Fees become irrelevant when you build a level of service that's focused on benefits. So if you're going to focus on benefits to your customer rather than services, focus on benefits. Fees not really an issue. And an automated 100-day onboarding program. If you've got a CRM, then you should be able to then add those through as being automated. If you haven't, you might want to use something like a Trello board. If you're old school, you might want to use a spreadsheet. If you're antiquated, you might want to use sticky notes. I don't mind what you use, but you need to have a program so that every person knows what they're supposed to do. So at the end of this, I'm going to ask you a challenge. So I'm going to send you through a challenge. And that challenge is that you want to walk away with, don't try and take heaps and heaps of notes. Walk away with this. Try and develop one little strategy for your landlords, one little strategy for your tenants, one strategy right at the moment, particularly for your colleagues, and one for the agency. Just pick up one thing. If you can walk away with 4 things from today, then it's certainly been worthwhile. So by all means, what my suggestion is that you actually just take down some notes of the things that you want to try and achieve for the next 60 minutes. So my question to you is this. Maybe just have a think about what's your current onboarding process. What is it that you do? What is it that you do right now for your clients? Is it remarkable? Is it good? Is it decent? Is it something that you would say is above and beyond what your competitors are doing. And again, I said, don't worry about what your competitors are up to, but I want you to ask yourself, what's your current process? And for many offices, they don't have one. It's just, whatever happens, happens. Does it have a wow factor? If you haven't got a wow factor with regards to your onboarding process, this is what's going to impact your referrals. So my suggestion here is that, again, I speak a lot about Google reviews. Make sure you've got good Google reviews. You've got really good customer feedback. Develop a wow factor. Be prepared to ask for referrals. If you really feel confident in the value you're delivering, referrals will just come. My question here is, what's your current client retention strategy? Now, for some agencies, the client retention strategy is hoping. They just hope the client doesn't leave. So in Victoria, as we know, in Victoria, there's no limitation on the management agreement. So the management agreement, the properties that you have today are the ones that you have today. Hopefully, they'll all be back again tomorrow. So my suggestion here is develop and implement a client retention strategy. What is it? What have you got going now? And again, for many offices, there isn't. There's no client retention strategy, except for just hoping that the clients won't leave. So here's the next one. What do you do for your clients that reward and recognize? How do you reward and recognize your customers' loyalty now? So what I'm talking about with loyalty, I want to give you this scenario. For all of you that actually go out and do outbound marketing, so you're communicating to new business, you've got a BDM, you're following up, maybe doing letterbox drops. For every time you're doing that, imagine if you're in an office or an area where there's 10 agents and there's 10 agencies all doing that to your clients have to make a conscious decision to stay with you. There is going to come a day where you annoy them that much. Clients don't leave for fees. And I hear this all the time. Someone says, oh, the client left because they got cheaper fees down the road. They don't leave for fees. The reasons why clients leave is because they don't see the value in the fees that you're charging anymore. So they decide to go elsewhere. You have to do some things pretty ordinary to force a client to go and change. So, and it's not just a matter of someone else going from a 5 to a 4 or a 6 to a 7 or whatever it may be. You have to do something pretty ordinary. So a client has to make a conscious decision to stay with you. What do you do to reward them and recognize them? The question there is, what do you do at the 12-month time? What do you do at the 2-year time? What do you do at the 3-year time? If you've got a client that's been with you for 5 years, that's fantastic. If you've got a client that's been with you for 10 years, take them out to dinner. That's the sort of stuff I'm talking about. 15 years, have them stay over the weekend. That's what I'm talking about, making sure there's actually a program where you're rewarding their loyalty, because we work so hard to get a brand new client, but then we really stuff up the clients that we've got inside our portfolio. There seems to be this constant evolution of trying to pick up new business, and it comes in the top and then falls out the bottom. It's the leaky bucket. So for most businesses, there is no plan. When I go into an office, these are some of the things I ask. What do you do to onboard your client? Nothing. Is it remarkable? What are you doing to retain your clients? Nothing. There's a next level to that as well. What are you doing to retain your staff? Right at the moment, there's a lot of staff shifting around. And my suggestion, if you haven't got a staff retention strategy at the moment, you're going to be in a whole world of pain, whether now or down the track, because a lot of staff are moving around. Have a strategy around this stuff. Don't just hope that things are going to go. You can't stick your head in the sand and think that the business is going to be normal. So if you do not have a plan, for most of the businesses, they just got no plan. So my suggestion here is, surely any plan's better than nothing at all. And I don't mind what it is. It doesn't have to be war and peace, but it can be simply something which is either a written document, a strategy. If you've got a directors meeting or a group or a leadership team, you must be able to actually have a strategy that says, how do we retain our landlords? How do we retain our staff? But how do we reward and acknowledge the clients that have been with us for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? I recall a situation where I was working in an agency as a consultant, and I was doing some analysis on the rent roll, and we had 2 properties that same owners, been with the agency for 32 years. Now, 32 years, there's a few people here in the room that wouldn't be 32 years old. So they've been managing the properties for longer than some people have been around. So I went to the directors, and this stuck in my mind. I went to the directors and I said, what do you do for these people? Like, 32 years is remarkable. It was a 50-year business, family business, second generation, and they'd been managing properties for 32 years. And the answer was this: oh, we don't do anything really. They're not going anywhere. They've been with us forever. And the problem with that is that it's that apathy that actually then says one day you're going to annoy your client that much that they will get up and move. And then you'll be aggrieved. You go, oh, I've done so much for these people over the time. You know, you haven't. You haven't rewarded and you haven't recognized them. So 32 years, again, that's an enormous relationship. 32 years in anything is an enormous relationship. Anyway,